Okay. Okay. So now observe carefully. So this is the double data type. Okay. So here I'm going to write here. Okay, double data type. And now I'm trying to converting into this particular into data type here. So this will give you an error because this is the bigger data type and this is the smaller data type. Now what happens internally, big value when we are trying to fit into this particular small data type here, what happens internally? What happens internally? It will not fit here because here we need to check the range here. And here also we need to check the range because bigger data type can have a range a little bit bigger only. Small data type will have the range, it is means small. So this big value we cannot set into this. Here we are going to use explicit typecasting. Explicit typecasting here. Okay. But value here I'm having int here and here I'm having double here. This value if I'm trying to converting into this. So int value into double because the int is a smaller value. Okay. And here, what is this? Like it is a double data type we are having, and it is a bigger data type here. So we can easily fit into this. So this is, we'll call it as a automatic typecasting. Okay, automatic typecasting. This is important. Automatically, this value it will convert into this, but explicitly this value we need to convert because it is a bigger value we are trying to converting into the small data type. Small value we can easily convert it into the bigger data type. This is very important, we need to understand. So right now 45 is a small value. It can easily fit into the double data type here. Because of that earlier we did not get any error here. Okay, whenever I commented two methods here, the compiler is giving me an error. Okay, so this is very important here. See, we can use the constructor also overloading concept. So once we familiar with the method, we are going to discuss about the constructor overloading concept. So now observe this particular overloading method here. Later we'll see the constructor related section. Okay. So what we need to understand here, this particular overloading method, now we understand here, if the appropriate method is no longer available, it will try to look up the bigger data type methods here. So even though if the bigger data type method is also not available, it will try to give the compilation error. Otherwise, it will convert the small value into bigger data type here. Okay, this is we did here. Now understand here. So one more example, like one more method, demo dot. I'm going to pause this double comma int. So now what happens internally? Here I'm going to give only integer related values. So for example, first one I'm giving as a 78 and second one I'm giving as a something like 96 here. Second one I'm giving as a 96. So why it is giving me an error? Okay. Can you read this and let me know why it is giving me an error here? Okay. So I'm going to show you the error also. Now understand this. Now understand this. What happening internally? Here it is getting a ambiguity. So why it is getting an ambiguity? Because we created the two methods, but order we provided different here. Whenever we are providing the order different here, the correct data type value we need to provide. Because so if we go to this data type here, so here first one double comma int we are passing. Okay, and the second method int comma double we are passing. Int comma double we are passing. But what happening internally, whenever we are passing this double comma int internally, what is doing it? What is doing basically? Here it is not doing any operation, just we are printing the value. But only the problem basically here, so whenever we are trying to use the different data type here, okay, when you are doing like this, so either double comma int or int comma double, we should provide the correct data type value. So for example, here 78.0. 78.0, the error is resolved. Okay. Now, if I'm removing this, it is giving me an error. But one more method, here we have 96.45. This is also resolving the error. Now, what you understand here, whenever you're trying to create a methods like this, whenever you're trying to create a method like this, first one is double comma int, and the same thing if you are doing the reverse order. Same thing if you are doing the reverse order. Now, here we are getting an errors here. Getting the point? Here we are getting an errors. So this is very important. We need to understand when you're trying to do this particular reverse information. When you're doing this particular reverse information, what happens internally? So we need to provide the correct to data type value. So if I'm providing integer related here, whenever I'm trying to provide the integer related, it is giving me an error, even though it is trying to converting, even though it is converting it. So which data it should convert here? Which data it should convert? For example, if I'm converting this particular data type into double, for example, the 78, I'm trying to converting into the double. Okay, what happening internally? So first method is checking ambiguity is getting here. Okay, for this purpose, what I will do, I'm going to comment out this. Now you can see the error is no longer available. The error is no longer available. Why the error is no longer available? Because so whatever the ambiguity we are getting here, we resolve the ambiguity. Okay, so this is important. So as I explained here, even though if the proper data type you are not providing, internally it will convert here. Internally it will convert the value. But what we need to understand basically, whenever we are trying to provide the parameter with the like a reverse order, so in that case we should provide the correct to data type values. So if you are providing the different data type here, even though the value automatically it's converted into the data type here, but still it will not convert here. It will not convert here. So this is another important one. But now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to provide the one parameter and I'm trying to provide the two parameters here. So now this value will convert it into the appropriate data type. So you can see first one it is calling integer, and the second one it is passing this the 78 into the double data type, and 96 as it is printing. Why the 96 as it is printing? Because of here. So this method, first method is expecting the double data type, and the second method is expecting the int data type here. Second method is expecting the int data type here. Okay, so this is important, we need to understand here. So any questions regarding this particular overload concept here? ఓకే, సాయి నీకేమైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఉన్నాయా ఓవర్లోడింగ్ కాన్సెప్ట్లో? See, the ambiguity basically here, what we need to understand here. So this is first we need to understand. Most of the cases we are not going to get ambiguity, but whenever you are trying to define like this, you will get the ambiguity. Now if you see, I'm trying to define the one more method. For example, here I'm trying to define the one more method. If it is expecting something like cat ch1 comma cat ch2, so this method is expecting two parameters. Okay, so now here I'm trying to comment on this. So for example, just I'm explaining this, later we'll move on to the ambiguity related here, and this also I'm going to comment on. Now what happening internally? So now you can see the overload method into into is not holding. I'm converting this. I will stop this. Why it is throwing an error? Okay, it is not converting. Okay, so here, so this is, I'm doing explicitly typecasting. Okay, this is the way we are going to write explicit typecasting. Now you can see whatever I'm doing here. So I'm trying to converting into this particular char. Okay, but here the value it is a integer. Here it is a the value it is a integer. Now understand carefully. Now you can see here what I'm doing is I'm going to print these values. ch1 ch1 plus ch2. Okay, now what I will do, I'm going to run this example. Now what I'm doing is, so this is the n and so one more, the symbol it is printing. So even though if I'm providing this 96 and 78, internally it is converting. Internally it is converting the char data type here because we don't have a entity data type. Explicitly we are doing the char here. Okay, this is not applicable here. Now what I will do, so same 78 comma 96 I will use here, and this method is no longer available because we are having the different method. So this is the different purpose we can go for it. Now what I'm doing here I'm going to enable this. Okay, this is I will enable the int related method, and the same way I will enable this also. Okay, and the same way I will enable this as well, and same way this I will enable this also. Now the ambiguity basically why we are getting here. So if you observe carefully, so this method is expecting double comma int. Whatever the line number 10 method we defined here, it is expecting double comma int. And the line number 16, now what we are doing, we are trying to make the reverse order. The last int we are making as a first here, and the first double parameter I'm making as a last year. Now what you need to understand here? What you need to understand here? Basically, we need to understand here. Whenever we are trying to make the reverse order, like first variable to like first parameter to last and last parameter to first year internally. So this is important. So now if you observe carefully, even because we are having double comma int, single values I'm going to make it, and int comma double. Okay, so imagine I provided as a 78 96. Okay, these values. Now what happening internally, so this value both are having integers. So as I explained here, integer can convert automatically into double data type. For example, it is converted 78.0 comma 96. Okay, this method is applicable. Okay, 78.0 basically it is a double type. Okay, 96 is a integer type. Why? Correct. Okay, so first parameter is double we converted, and second parameter integer is converted. The problem basically, this is also applicable. The second method whatever we define here, int comma double. The problem basically, second method is also applicable here. So why can't we convert the value into this 96 also double? Getting the point? Why can't we convert this particular 96 is also double? Or why can't we reduce this double to int here? Getting the point? Here we have a two option. Either we can do this or we can go for the 78 as it is and 96.0. I'm converting the second parameter to double. So whenever I'm converting, this will satisfy. Whenever I'm converting first, this will satisfy. But compiler is getting a dilemma. So which value I want to convert? Either I want to convert to this or I want to convert to this. So this information we need to provide. Either first parameter I want to convert or second parameter I want to convert into the double data type, that we need to provide the information. But here, how we are going to provide here? So we don't have an option to provide this particular information here. Getting the point? Because of this, the compiler is getting a ambiguity here. Okay, this is important, we need to understand, because here we are having the two option to convert the double data type here, not only the one parameter. Okay, so this is very important, we need to understand. So how this particular the ambiguity will work here. So to resolve this particular ambiguity, what we can do, so we need to comment out one of the method. Either you can comment out this or you can comment out this, or you can provide the expected values. So instead of giving an option to make the compiler decision. So here basically compiler is going to take the decision. When the compiler is going to take the decision, compiler is getting the two methods. Compiler is getting the two methods here. So compiler is in the dynamo. So to satisfy the parameters, which method I want to convert. To satisfy the methods here, which method I want to convert, so the compiler cannot understand here. So that information you can make explicitly. For example, I can make something like this. So error is resolved here. Error is resolved. So otherwise, now if you observe carefully, so whenever I'm making the first method as a double type here, so it is printing, and second method, two parameters. Okay, and now you can see the first method I'm keeping as it is, and the second method I'm making as a double type here. Okay, the second method I'm making as a double. Now if I'm going to run the same example, it will print. So 96.7. Okay, now you can see 96.78 and 78. So some way I did not reorder the parameters. So a comma b. But here what we need to print here, it should print this b and it should print a. Order is missing. Order is missing. Now you can see, so you'll understand. 78 is the first variable, 96.78 is the second one. Okay, so this is very important here. So it's resolved, like the ambiguity error is issue resolved. Still you are having any questions? Okay, Sai, if you are having any questions, you can ask me. Okay, now, so this is all about the simple example on this particular overloading concept here. So once we completed this particular overloading concept here, now what we are doing is, we are trying to move on to the overloading constructor. So how we can make the overloading constructor? To make this particular overloading constructor, we'll go to the box class. How many constructors we are having right now? Only one constructor is a default constructor, and this is the parameterized constructor. But if I'm going to provide the information to the constructor name should be same, and the constructor is going to have the different parameters. Constructor is going to have the different parameters. So now see what all the different parameters we are having. First constructor is expecting 3 parameters, and the second constructor is not expecting any parameters. How any other constructor? No. Now what I will do, I'm going to write the other constructors. So now you can see this is the another constructor we are having. Name of the constructor, it should match with the class name here, and now I'm going to pass only one parameter. Width is equals to, height is equals to, depth is equals to length. So whatever the value we are going to pass, whatever the first parameter value we are passing, I am trying to setting into the all the three variables here. Okay, this is the another constructor, and one more constructor I'm writing. So double, now what I will do, something like width I'm passing. Okay, double width I'm passing here, and double len. Okay, so this dot width is equals to width here, and height, and depth is equals to len. So this is another constructor. Now if you observe carefully, how many constructors we provided here? Around we are having four constructors. Around we are having four constructors. So this is the first constructor is expecting three parameters. Second constructor is expecting no parameters here, and the third constructor is expecting one parameter, and fourth constructor is expecting two parameters. Okay, so this is the different way of writing this particular constructor here. Now how we are going to create an object? While creating this particular object here, now you can see how many how many parameters we are passing. Here we are passing as a 3, and the same way you can create a one more constructor. So now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to pass here constructor 2. So here I'm passing only two parameters. Okay, box 2, and we can pass only one parameter. This is for box 3. This is for box 3. Okay, so one more constructor we can define here, and this will not take any parameters. This object I'm going to create as a box 4. Okay, now what you understand here, based on this particular constructor overloading, based on this particular constructor overloading here, now you can see these many objects we created. First one is expecting 3 parameters. Second one is expecting 2 parameters. Third one is expecting 1 parameter. And fourth one is expecting 0 parameters. Okay. So this is the way of calling the constructor overloading. And earlier we discussed about the method overloading. Okay. So any questions regarding this particular constructor overloading concept here? Anyone having any question? Now, what do you need to understand basically here? The differences between constructor overloading with method overloading. So, in which scenario we can go for this particular constructor overloading, and which scenario we can go for this particular method overloading. This is very important here. Okay, basically here what you need to understand here, the constructor overloading. Constructor is a mandatory purpose because if we want to provide the values while creating an object, the values are going to, what happens internally, the values are going to initialize here, because all the constructors are what doing internally, it is trying to initializing the value. Getting the point? Internally it is trying to initializing the values here. This is very important, we need to understand here. And what about this particular methods here? Whatever this particular method saying here, methods are the optional, because after creating an object only we are calling the methods here. So see the differences here, because here we are creating an object. Here we are creating an object here. Okay, and while creating an object we are calling the constructor. And this particular overload demo, after creating an object, line number 6 here, after creating an object here, what we are doing is we are trying to call this particular method. Okay, in your case if it is required here, in your case if it is required, then only we are going to call this particular method here. Otherwise, now what we are doing here, we are trying to call the constructor. So this is a simple one we need to understand. Constructor injection is basically, constructor overloading concept is basically is a mandatory purpose, and the setter one is optional. The setter one is optional here. Okay, this is very important to understand here. Okay, is it clear? Any questions? Okay, so we'll move on to the another important concept here, because if you know this concepts here, because we are going to write in our real-time application multiple times. We will try to define the multiple constructor. We'll try to define the multiple methods here with the same name and here with the same constructor here. So, and here how we can pass object as a parameter. Right now, what we are doing here. Okay, we are passing primitive types. If you see here, 78 to 96 something, these are all the primitive data type values we are passing. But how we can pass object as a parameter, this is important here. So this object I created demo, I want to pass object as a parameter. Okay, so before going to discuss about this particular object here, inside this particular overload demo, now what I will do, I'm going to create a one method. Okay, I'm going to create a one method. This particular method will expect the parameter. So now you can see I'm going to top here, and here private I'm providing and into a comma b. Okay, two variable I declare, and here using this particular constructor, here I'm modifying into this particular int here. Okay, so whenever I'm trying to converting this, now here what we need to understand here, this dot a is equals to a, this dot b is equals to b. Okay, this is we need to understand. Now I'm printing the a comma b, and after this, now what I'm doing here, I'm going to write one more method. The method basically will return the boolean value. Okay, the method is returning boolean value. So once it is written this particular boolean value, now what I'm doing is i'm going to I'm going to provide the name of the method, something like the name of the method I'm going to give as a equal. Otherwise we can make it equals to. Okay, this is the name of the method I'm defining, equals to, and this equals to method is expecting, this equals to method is expecting here overload demo. So observe carefully, this is important here. Right now we did not pass here. Basically this is the class name here. Whatever the class we are defining here, overload demo. Overload demo is the name of the class. Okay, whenever we are providing this internally, we can access this information. Along with that, we can call this particular all the methods here. Okay, that information we already identified. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm trying to provide a method parameter. Basically, this is we'll call it as a method parameter. The method parameter, what I'm doing is I'm trying to provide object here. This is the object type here, and this is the int type. This is the double type. Okay, same way we are passing this particular overload demo. Overload demo is a custom data type that we already discussed in the previous example. Whenever we are trying to create a class here, the class is a custom data type because it internally it is contain lot of information here. Internally it is contain the lot of information here. Okay, this is information we need to understand. So I'm passing class type here, and this is the reference variable. It will hold the object information. This demo will hold the object information here. Okay, this is important. Now what I'm doing here I'm going to check the condition. The condition, what is the condition I'm checking? Demo dot a, demo dot a equals to a, equals to a, and demo dot a, sorry, now b equals to b. If a and b values will satisfy, I'm trying to return true value. I'm trying to return true. And else section, now what I'm doing here? I'm returning false value. So observe carefully. The equals to method is expecting object as a parameter, and this object basically what we are doing here. We are trying to comparing it, like we are trying to checking the value. Both A and B values are same or not. But which operator we are using? Double equals operator. Now you can see how much this particular double equal to operator is important. So when we are discussing this double equal to operator, we could not understand the purpose of this. But right now, we are getting multiple way of handling this double equals operator. In the different ways of example, we are checking this particular double equal to operator. Okay. Now here, what you need to understand here. So if demo dot a, if demo dot a value is equals to this current a is satisfied, and demo dot b is equals to b, it needs to satisfy. When these two conditions will satisfy, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false here. Otherwise, it will return false here. Okay. So this is we need to understand very carefully. This is we need to understand very carefully. Okay. Now later what I'm doing here. So this equals to method I'm going to call. From where I'm going to call this particular equals to method? Inside this particular overload demo. Inside this particular overload demo. So demo dot equals to this, the equals to method I'm calling, and here I'm going to pass the same demo. This is important. This equals to method I'm calling here, and I'm passing demo. What is the demo contains here? Here you can see this demo. This demo contains, this is an object type. This demo is contained here. This is an object type. Now I will print this here because it is trying to return some value. So what is the value it will return here? What is the value it will return? I'm trying to print this. Now let me run this example. Now what you understand here? It is returning true. So why it is returning true? So we are checking these two conditions, 78 comma 96 internally. These two values are equal. So now observe one more object I'm creating. This is important. This I'm passing as a demo 1. Okay. The demo 1 dot overload method I'm going to call here, and the last method I'm calling something like 45 comma 78 here. Okay. 45 comma 78 I'm providing. Whenever I'm trying to provide this particular value 45 comma 78, so now you can see this I'm going to pass as a demo 1 here. Okay. This is very important, we need to understand. So the object I'm passing different one, and I'm calling the different object here. Here we are having two objects. So whenever we are calling like this, now we'll get the different value. So now you can see false we are getting. Why we are getting the false? So you can compare these four values. You can compare this particular four values. Because of these four values, so it is returning false here. Okay. This is very important, we need to understand. So for example, if I'm going to pass same values for this also. So 78 comma 96. 78 comma 96 if I'm going to pass. Now this will give you true value. Okay. Now you can see it is returning true. Getting the point. This is important, we need to understand. Regarding this particular example, something like how we can pass object as a parameter. Okay. So any questions? So if we don't have anything here, now, so the same information we are going to pass the object as a parameter to this particular constructor here. Now we are passing into this particular method. If you observe carefully, demo1 is a reference variable, not the original. Basically, the demo1 will contain the object, but right now we are passing the reference variable. This is important. Okay, demo1 is the object of this particular overload demo, and here whatever the object we created using this particular new operator, so the information which will store into the demo1, the same demo1 we are trying to pass here. Okay, and the same way, this is the another object we created, demo object, and this will contain the demo, the object, everything it's going to store under this particular demo variable. The same demo, we are with the help of same demo we are calling the this particular equals to method here. Okay, so this is important here, which method we are calling and which object we are passing. This is important. With the help of this particular which object reference we are calling the method is important here. So demo with the help of this particular demo we are calling this particular equals to method, and here we are passing the demo1. Here we are passing this particular demo1 here. And whenever we are doing like this, because here two objects are different, here two objects are different. So if I want to print this, you will get understand here. Inside this equals method, now what I'm doing here, I'm trying to print two objects. How I'm going to print? This is the demo I'm going to print here. And the second one, this I'm going to print. So this will give you the current object here. Okay, this keyword is, it will give you the current object. Now if I'm going to run this, okay, sorry, not here, inside the main method. Now you can see, so the below two statements are returning different object information. Why it is returning the different object information here? Okay, why it is printing the different here? So that information you need to understand here. That information you need to understand here. So if you see, this demo is create the different location, and demo one will create the in the different location here. Okay, so this is we need to understand very carefully. Because of this, these two objects are providing different information. Okay, so this is the way we are going to create a multiple object, and we are going to check the two information. So for example, here I'm going to provide demo only. If I'm going to provide demo only, now you can see carefully, so it will give you the same object. It is returning same object because we are calling with the same object reference, and we are passing the same object here. We are calling with the same object here, and we are passing same object here. Okay, so this is because of this, it is returning same object here. Now internally, what happens internally? So it's going to check itself, whatever the reference we are having here, this method itself internally, it will check the values. The method internally, it will check this particular value, and it will print the values here. Okay, because of that, it is returning true. Now you can see the two methods we are having. No, sorry, not this. Basically, only one object we are passing here. Something like this. The line number 10, whatever the value we are passing, 78, 96. So this values only it will check internally. This values only it will internally it will check because of this particular equals to method. Okay. So this is we need to understand very carefully here. And tomorrow we'll discuss about the like object as a parameter to this particular constructor. Once we familiar this particular constructor, we'll see the Java is a call by value or call by reference. So tomorrow we are going to identify this particular example, and I'm thinking from tomorrow onwards we'll try to continue the same session evening, like 9 to 10. If you are available, we can start the same session in the evening as well. Okay, morning and evening.
Okay, సార్
చెప్పండి.
8 లైన్ 45 86 పెట్టుకోవచ్చు కదా సార్?
45 86 పెట్టుకుంటే ఫాల్స్ అయిపోతుంది ఇక్కడ.
పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే ఓకే సార్.
ఓకే, ఏ వాల్యూస్ అని పెట్టుకోవచ్చు. ఇంటీజర్ రిలేటెడ్ డేటా టైప్ ఏ వాల్యూస్ అని ఇక్కడ స్టోర్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. అండ్ ఇక్కడ ఏం చేస్తుంది, ఇది కంపేర్ చేస్తుంది ఈక్వల్ టులో. ఇక్కడ ఏదైతే ఆబ్జెక్ట్ రెఫరెన్స్ ఇక్కడైతే పాస్ చేస్తున్నానో ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్లో ఉన్న వాల్యూ కరెంట్ వాల్యూతో చెక్ చేసుకుంటుంది. ఇది సేమ్ ఏ వాల్యూ ఎంత బి వాల్యూ ఎంత. సో రెండు మ్యాచ్ అవుతే రిటర్న్ ట్రూ చేస్తుంది, లేదంటే ఫాల్స్ చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, సో ఇది ఇంపార్టెంట్. పారామీటర్ ఏ పారామీటర్ అయితే పాస్ చేస్తున్నామో పారామీటర్ ఇస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ ఇక్కడ. సో ఇక్కడ ఈ డెమో అనేది ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. సో ఈ ఆబ్జెక్ట్లో ఉన్న వాల్యూస్ ఏంటి 78 to 96. ఓకే, ఇక్కడికి వచ్చేసరికి 78 to 96 ఉంటుంది. అండ్ ఈ మెథడ్ ఏ ఆబ్జెక్ట్తో కాల్ చేస్తున్నాను, డెమోతో కాల్ చేస్తున్నాను. డెమో అనేది కూడా సేమ్ ఆబ్జెక్ట్. సో ఇక్కడ సేమ్ 78 to 96 ఇక్కడ ఉంటాయి. అండ్ ఇక్కడ ఆల్సో 78 to 96 మనం ఇక్కడ పాస్ చేస్తున్నాం. సో రెండు ఆబ్జెక్ట్ వీఆర్ డూయింగ్ సేమ్ హియర్. The a value 78, demo.a also will contain the same. Okay, it's clear. Any questions? But only if I modify this to difference. So for example, demo 1, whenever I'm modifying the demo 1, now we need to hand over this information. So demo 1 will contain the 4596 and demo contain the 78 to 96. Because of this, it is returning false. Here you can see false. Why we are getting the false? Because demo 1, the a value we are passing as a 45. In the demo, the a value we are passing as a 78. So these two values are not same here. How it is going to compare here? It's like this, 78 equals to something like 45, and we are using the AND operator, and something like 96 equals to 96. So right second condition is satisfying, but first condition is failing. Because of this particular AND operator, we should satisfy left side condition and right side condition. Okay, this is important here. So this we already discussed in the previous sessions here. So it should match both the condition whenever we are using the AND operator. What about this particular OR operator? Any one of the condition, either the left side condition is satisfied, it will return true. Otherwise, the right side condition will satisfy, it will return true. Okay, so now see the same example. Overload demo. Here, instead of this particular AND operator, I'm going to use OR operator. Now, if I'm trying to run the same example, it will return true. It is returning true. The below statement you can see, it is returning true. So this is very important. So this kind of example we already discussed in the previous sessions here. Okay, so tomorrow we'll continue the continuation of this particular object as a parameter. So yes, we have a class at morning 8:30 to 9:30, and same thing we are going to continue evening also. Okay, so tomorrow we'll continue the same example, the parameter related example.